In his first appearance in over a week, Governor Cuomo doubled down on his apology as he is investigated for inappropriate behavior with women. Take a listen.
My usual custom is to kiss and to hug and make that gesture. I understand that sensitivities have changed and behavior has changed, and I get it, and I'm going to learn from it. Next question.
Governor Cuomo says it is his custom to greet people with a kiss and maintain that he didn't intend to make anyone feel uncomfortable. However, 3 of his accusers say that's exactly what he did. So let's talk to attorney Lisa Bloom, who specializes in sexual harassment cases. She joins us this morning to walk us through what we need to do if we find ourselves the target of unwanted advances. Good morning, Lisa. So good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so you heard the governor right there. He has repeatedly said that he didn't intend to cause any harm, but legally, does his intention matter here?
No, it doesn't. Sexual harassment is not about intent. It's about behaviors and behaviors that are unwelcome in the workplace. And by the way, for Governor Cuomo, it's about more than just a kiss or a hug when he was greeting somebody. It's about sexualized words and conduct in the workplace that made people uncomfortable.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because he makes it seem like, well, you know, it was just a greeting and it's what I typically do. But there's more to it than just that, correct?
Yes. And, you know, this is what we see from perpetrators. I do many, many cases of sexual harassment. I've been doing them for over 3 decades. They always try to minimize the behavior. Can't I even say somebody looks nice? Can't I even make a comment about sex in the workplace? You know, if you're the governor of a state, you really should know better. And that kind of thing should just be off limits. Why? Because it does make people uncomfortable. And a 22-year-old or a 25-year-old is going to be very uncomfortable saying anything back to him. Most victims are just going to smile and grin and bear it, and maybe later on it's going to come up. So really all of that is off limits now.
Yeah, and one of his victims was actually moved to a different department. So let's talk about what can be done here, because a lot of women hearing this thinking, well, maybe I am the victim. What's the statute of limitations on sexual harassment claims?
Well, in New York, it's 3 years, and that's an improvement. It used to be 1 year. So anybody who has been the victim of sexual harassment really should reach out to a lawyer as soon as they can. In other states, the time limits are shorter. And I do want to give Governor Cuomo credit for apologizing, trying to apologize, trying to get it right, because I think that does help. Most of the people who I represent say they really would like to see that apology.
But it doesn't change the course of the litigation. It just is something that kind of helps them in coping?
It helps a lot because most of the time we don't get an apology. We get attacks on the victim, digging up dirt on her, trying to undermine her. It's a very painful process, and that's why a lot of victims don't come forward. Many of my clients say, you know what, if this guy would have just admitted it and apologized, Lisa, I wouldn't be here in your office.
Oh, really? Okay. So, you know, all 3 of Governor Cuomo's accusers either reported the unwanted advances or mentioned it to someone. Is that a good first step for anyone who may have felt like they were harassed in the workplace?
Yes. So here are my tips. Okay. The first thing is it is imperative that you save all written evidence that may have anything to do with your claim. Emails, texts, photos, and send all of that stuff to your personal email, because if you get terminated from your job, your work email may get shut down. Do not expect your carrier to hold on to those texts. Many people say, oh, Lisa, I was so upset, I deleted all the texts. Can I get them from Verizon? Probably not. So save all that stuff. You should journal, keep track of the who, what, when, where as it happens so you can remember later. You should make a list of witnesses, and you should create witnesses. And that's what you're talking about, Betty. What do I mean by create witnesses? Tell people you trust, a coworker, your mother, your best friend, as it's going on, so that later on they will be able to corroborate your story. I always want people to do a written complaint to Human Resources in writing. Who, what, when, where. Again, hold on to that complaint, keep it so they can't later say you didn't do it. And of course, if the company does not take care of this in the way that they should and the way that they are legally obligated to do, contact an attorney and find out what your rights are.
You know, this is all very important, but at the same time, a lot of people who are the victims feel a sense of shame, like some way it was their fault, or they don't want to lose their job. So how do you get past that?
Yeah, that you're right. That shame and fear are the two biggest obstacles I face. Sexual harassment or sexual assault, and I do a lot of those cases too, is not your fault. It doesn't matter what you were wearing. It doesn't matter if you smiled or laughed. Many people will laugh because they're so uncomfortable by the whole situation. It is always wrong in the workplace, and people who are the owner or the manager or the boss should know better. And frankly, with all of the sexual harassment training that is legally required every year in New York, people do know better. And if they're doing it anyway, they're the ones who should feel ashamed of themselves.
That is good news. Empowering information there. Lisa, as always, it's great to see you. Hey, it's been a bit of a family affair. We had your mother on earlier this week.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Hi, Mom. That's good.
Thanks so much for being with us today.
Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Great talking to Lisa and, of course, our mom, Gloria Allred.
Yes, important topics, too.